It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
You know what today is?
Here it is.
It's New Year's Eve.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. 364 days gone in the rearview mirror.
Thank goodness. This year has sucked.
A blank canvas stretching out before us, a whole new page waiting to be writ on by the pen of experience.
Oh, yes.
or some such crap like
that. But that's
not
not till next weekend. Right now.
Now. It's
got one last bit of into it.
Yes. One last gasp. As we freeze our respective huevos off.
And get ready to head out and celebrate the new year by bringing you the 13th annual Poppies and Rosies Awards. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Stick around for
the best of Subject Cinema for 2017. Woohoo!
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
It's that time of year again.
It is.
I have to say I'm absolutely disgusted with myself this year.
Well, hon.
Because we didn't get to anything, and it just like I feel like we're operating on fumes. It irritates me because we're supposed to be professionals at this, you know. But you're going to get what you get, folks.
Well, we got to as many movies as we could, you know, and...
No, we got to as many movies as we could. We could have gotten to more. We really could have. We lived 2 blocks from the cinema. We could have gotten to more.
Yeah, if we were sacrificing things like food.
It wasn't that bad. Most of the time. Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 594. Day and date, December 31st, 2017.
Yep.
And the 13th annual Poppies and Rosies Awards.
Uh-huh.
We ran down our top picks of the year a few days ago. I'm surprised I haven't gotten tons of angry email for some of my top 13. It's just because. But, you know, what the heck. It's me. And I would have had other movies on there probably if we'd had a chance to see them.
Yeah.
Things will change next year, as you will see. Anyway, this has been an interesting year. Not just for us, though. I gotta be honest. This hasn't been not just a bad year for us in movies. It's been a bad year for the industry as a whole. All these expensive movies that just bombed at the box office.
They do seem to be playing that song every year, though. Every year.
Well, they made money because of Last Jedi. They made money in Jumanji.
But my point is, and it just seems like the last 5 years, at the end of every year, it's oh, this has been the worst year in cinema since blah, blah, blah.
No, last year everybody loved 2016.
It's like Tony Schiavone was writing the movie.
It's going to be the greatest year in the history of movies. Yeah.
Wrestling.
WCW Nitro joke. If you're
wrestling in joke. Sorry, and Tony, if you're out there, hey. But
he's out there on the radio somewhere.
Well, we saw some good movies though, and we have our own.
We saw
list
a few
of,
good movies.
Yeah, we did.
Very few good movies.
We saw a few good movies. We saw even fewer
we didn't see
great
any
movies.
really terrible movies this year. I couldn't come up with the YARP award this year. So.
No, we didn't do a YARP award. Our YARP award was like the worst movie of the year.
You didn't actually do one, huh?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so
I did do a most disappointing.
I did
but
too.
There was nothing that I felt like I want my money back, and that's time I'm never going to get back again. You know?
No more end of July movies this year.
No.
Next year there will be. It's coming out in summertime.
Thrillsville.
All right, so
okay,
let's get started with the festivities.
Let's.
And we'll kick off. You wanted to do, what was the one you introduced this year? That's post-credits sequence?
Yes.
By the way, this is an award show. You're going to be seeing spoilers, hearing spoilers. So if you haven't seen these films, be aware. You might be getting plot lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too bad.
Beep, beep, beep. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Okay.
We're covered.
Now, the whole post-credits sequence thing used to be more of an, oh my gosh, what a surprise kind of a deal at movies.
Now it's more of a disappointment when you don't get them.
Nowadays, unless you're going to see something uber serious and some, adult film, and when I say adult film, I don't mean bow chicka bow wow adult film. I mean the other kind of adult film.
We're not talking porn.
Yeah, I mean the serious grown-up sort of film. They won't have post-credit scenes. But a lot of the movies we went to did. And I was like, well, I want to give a shout out to one of the best ones because this was the one that actually, out of all of them this year, this was the one that made me happiest. So the best post-credit sequence goes to the sequence from the end of Kong Skull Island, where we see a cave drawing which shows that people who were, ancient civilizations and all that knew what was up when it came to the giant things living in the earth and that walked the earth at one point. And the painting that we see shows figures that are very familiar to those of us who are, of a kaiju state of mind. Figures that are obviously supposed to represent Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Godzilla. And at the end of the film, when the screen cuts to black, we hear Godzilla's roar. And that made me very, very, very happy. So that's my best post-credits sequence.
I don't actually have one, but I think if I did pick one, it would be the only thing I could honestly give to Justice League, which is the race between Superman and the Flash that happens at the end of the movie.
That's the first one, though.
Yeah, but it's still in the credits.
It is in the credits, but it is the first one. And that's actually really good, too. It's funny. I like that one, too. Okay, so that's one out of the way. Let's keep going.
Best title sequence.
Best title sequence. It's really funny because it was the best title sequence, and it also made me bawl my eyes out. My best title sequence was to Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Mine's my best title sequence as well. Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Yeah. The whole thing being couched by David Bowie's song Space Oddity, where we see what is going on in space travel through the years as we see people from different parts of Earth come together on space stations and people greeting people from beyond the stars. And it was so beautiful and moving. It moved me to tears. I just sat there and just cried. I just thought it was really beautiful and really moving. You said that won yours as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's very artful and very well done. And Luc Besson is a genius for coming up with it. Mm-hmm. Best title sequence, Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
From both of us.
Yeah. Best 3D presentation.
Actually, I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record. Best 3D presentation also went to Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Mine did, with a slight caveat. I picked the 4D version. I went to see it in 4D. Ken did not.
I did not.
And it was amazing.
I am not as enamored of the 4D process as TC is.
I like to see it in some... I mean, Valerian was made for 4D.
Right.
It was brilliant in 4D.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know what 4D is, because there aren't that many 4D equipped theaters yet, 4D immerses you. The bad thing about ours, the showcase, is the screen. You can see the floor. It's kind of not in your face the way it should be. But it is... 4D encompasses sounds, smells, movement. It's a virtual reality thing, and it's very cool. And I love Valerian in 4D.
It also leaves you feeling like a sock that's been through the dryer.
Well, Deadpool did, yeah.
So that's... No, actually, Man from U.N.C.L.E. did.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
Both of them did, so it's not really my favorite thing.
The Martian wasn't too bad, though.
No, that's true. So what's next?
Our Muhaha Awards.
Okay.
And I only have one this year. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was able to come up with two. For those of you that don't know what that means, the Muhaha Award is the award we give to the villain that's just oozing badness. The person who knows they're a villain and they're the villain of the piece, and they're not being like, "Oh, I'm the villain, but I'm tragic." You know,
you think so, huh?
Well, usually. Okay. Well, what's
no.
Okay. I have a... Well, actually, we should also talk about what a Muhaha is, because TC will now demonstrate. That was very nice. I'm so proud.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of him when he does that. My Muhaha Male Award goes to Danny Houston as General Eric Ludendorff from Wonder Woman. This guy is a warmongering a-hole. And it's... I know Danny Houston is probably a lovely person, and I'm sure he's good to his parents and kind to small animals, but every time I see him in a movie, I want to smack the spit out of him. I mean, I know that's terrible. I'm so sorry.
Well, he always plays characters like that. He played a kind of a scummy character in Hitchcock. He played a kind of scummy character in the what was the name of the movie?
Which one?
The
Congress.
The Congress, thank you. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Colonel Stryker in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. He always plays these characters that I just want to punch in the nose. And General Ludendorff is no exception. He's just awful. He's an awful human being. So the Rosie for Muhaha Male goes to Danny Houston. Congratulations on being evil. Mm-hmm. And on the female side of things, there was absolutely no choice as far as I was concerned for who was going to win the Muhaha Award for female villainess, which is kind of redundant, I suppose. Best villainess of 2017, the Rosie goes to Cate Blanchett as Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Hela is the goddess of death and not a nice person in the Marvel movieverse. As it turns out, she is Odin's eldest daughter who was sealed away by him because she was too much of a bloodthirsty, genocidal nutcase. She's just completely revels in the destruction and pain and terror that she causes. So she's not someone you want over for coffee. So the Muhaha Female Award goes to Cate Blanchett because she was hella awesome as Hela Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, I'm dying.
I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Actually, I just did think of one, so I'll throw it in there. My Muhaha Female is Dr. Poison from Wonder Woman.
Okay.
She's a very evil lady, and I didn't look up her name. I'm sorry, because I'd forgotten about her, but I was like, okay. I'm getting esoteric with my Muhaha Male. It isn't a person, it's the feeling.
Okay.
I'll
go with that.
There is a feeling of uncomfortableness and a feeling of uneasiness surrounding, and has been surrounding, the town of Ebbing, Missouri. Mm-hmm. In the film 3 Billboards Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And because 6 months earlier, a 15-year-old girl was raped and burned alive, we're assuming, mm-hmm. And murdered. And ever since then, this town has been kind of haunted by that, particularly her mother, played by Frances McDormand. But we don't really know who did it. That's the whole point of the movie.
Right.
And so my Muhaha male is the unknown villain from 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That's good. That's really good.
We don't find out who it is either. Spoiler alert.
No.
So it's a very interesting concept to me.
It is. That's a really good choice.
Most annoying trend this year.
Okay. Most annoying trend. I don't remember if I did this last year because I don't remember what I did 10 minutes ago. You can ask me what I wore in second grade, first day of school, and I can tell you, but 5 minutes ago, total blank. But I am going to keep ragging on this trend until it stops. The Rosie for most annoying trend of the year are all these film critics who take a film, which can be about whatever it could be about. You know, it could be an hour and a half of focusing on a bowling ball sitting on a beach. And you're going to have some critics that are going to be like, well, obviously, what they're trying to really say is talking about this political thing or that political thing or this political stance or blah, blah. Shut the F up. Sometimes a movie is just a movie. It's not a political stance. Nobody's talking about how much the president sucks, or it's, well, you're obviously talking about the war in Iraq. No, we're not. We're talking about a movie where we're fighting giant invading carrots from outer space. Shut up. Stop putting your political filters on things and let me watch my mother effing movies. I'm done now. Obviously, the meds haven't kicked in. I'll be fine in a few minutes.
I have a personal trend that annoys me. And actually, this has actually started... I've seen a couple of articles about this in the last couple of weeks from online publications who are also getting annoyed with it. Why is it that people out there don't watch... The Oscar numbers keep dropping and dropping and dropping every year. Why is that?
Because they keep nominating movies nobody cares about?
Not necessarily, but they keep nominating movies people haven't seen.
Yeah, well, that would also be nobody cares about.
No, that's not true.
Well, nobody's cared enough to go see it at the movie theater.
Well, when it's only available in one theater 500 miles away...
Right, yeah, I see what you mean.
The limited release of Oscar contenders has got to stop. It's impossible. Like, I'm angry as hell. There were 14 movies that have come out since November 1st that I wanted to see before we did this, and I didn't get to see any of them. Call Me By Your Name, I, Tonya, Wonderstruck. I didn't get to see any of them because none of them are showing anywhere we can get to. None of them are on demand, and I can't freaking get screeners for them because they're from major studios, and they don't like to cater to the smaller film sites. So... hey, you're not getting any awards for them because of that. I'm not the only person complaining, though. A lot of other people. One of Slate's columnists brought it up last week, and another person on Medium a couple weeks ago. People are not going to watch a show about an Oscars or a Golden Globes if they're not familiar or haven't had a chance to see the films before the awards ceremony.
That makes sense.
I mean, I, Tonya is in 12 theaters right now, or something like that. Call Me By Your Name won't get to several major cities until mid-February, by which time the Oscar nominations will already been announced. This trend of limited release stuff for Oscars, like Oscar qualifying runs, they need to amend that rule to say you need to run it for 2 weeks in the top 300 markets in America in order for it to qualify. Because it's just ridiculous the way they do it now. Oh no, it only is a show in Los Angeles and New York and that's it. For 1 week.
Yeah, way to make the rest of us feel important.
Yeah. They don't care about the little people because the little people don't go see these. Little people go see Transformers and bigger movies.
Not this little person.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So my annoying trend, it's impossible to see all the awards films in time to qualify for the Poppies because of the ridiculous release schedule. Please fix it.
I mean, just another little thing, just my own take on stuff. I think a lot of people don't watch the Oscars because basically we don't like being told that we suck.
I know, but it's politics. And now we didn't watch it for the first time in years last year because I didn't want to deal with, you know, Meryl Streep, Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda. I'm tired of all the Trump bashing. I don't like the man either, but I'm tired of everybody like crashing on it. You know, it's like, come on, let's leave that on a separate level. You can complain about that, but focus on the movies while you're here. And they refuse to do it, so it's just screw them. Most infectious audience laugh. This is always hard because this is how we judge the audience around us when we see a film that completely loses it.
Okay. There were quite a few moments I thought this year that there were, audience laughs. Some of them I thought they were very obvious they were coming, so that's why I didn't include them. The one that I thought cracked up the audience that we went to see the movie with, and it cracked me the hell up, was a line from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 when Yondu is rescuing Peter, and he's holding up his arrow.
Now, and wait a minute, is this your most infectious audience laugh or your one-liner?
No, it's my most infectious audience laugh.
Okay.
He's holding the anti-grav arrow that he uses mostly as a weapon to carry both of them. Peter looks up at him and remarks how he looks like Mary Poppins. Yondu asks him, is he a badass or something? And Peter's response is yes, because Peter's a wise ass. To which Yondu yells out, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!" And the audience we went to see the movie with just fell on the floor laughing. It was just hilariously funny. Huh?
Except me, apparently.
It was just hilariously funny. Michael Rooker's delivery was perfect. I am never going to be able to watch Mary Poppins again and not sit there and laugh. So, I'm sorry.
When was the last time you saw Mary Poppins?
Well, Mary Poppins is coming back with
the new one.
The new movie, yeah. So good luck with me sitting through that with a straight face now. Thanks, Michael. So, my most infectious audience laugh, the Rosie, goes to, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, from Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2.
I do seem to remember chuckling at that.
That was funny as hell.
The most infectious audience laugh that I noticed happens in a 5 or 6 minute sequence as we are watching the making of one of the worst films ever made.
I had a feel this almost took my spot, but that my line took it.
And an auteur would be actor and writer named Tommy Wiseau is trying to get his lines right as he exits the door.
The line that he wrote,
that he wrote as he exits the door and says, "It's not true. I did not hit her. I did not." And then turns to his friend and says, "Oh, hi, Mark."
That doesn't sound like a hard line, does it? No, it really doesn't.
30-some takes later, granted, the people who saw The Disaster Artist with us were room fanatics.
Yeah.
We went to we went opening night, and it was filled with people that knew what they were getting into.
Oh, yeah.
It was sold out, and it was a blast. The whole movie was hysterical. And watching James Franco in his uncanny imitation of Tommy Wiseau.
Spooky.
Oh my God, it was a riot as he did it over and over and over again.
To the point where the crew, when he's asking for the line, everybody in the crew is going, "I did not hit her. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
Oh, hi,
Mark." And the "we are so done" in their voices is just perfect.
If you haven't seen The Disaster Artist yet, please go. Please go. It's funny as hell. The recreation of the "Oh, hi, Mark" scene from the rooftop of the room, The Disaster Artist.
Okay, that's a good choice.
The one-liner.
I do.
I decided not to. I couldn't come up with anything. So,
best one-liner of the year. I had to throw this in because the exasperation in his voice and the fact that he got bested by somebody else is just so funny and so perfect. There's a scene early on in Thor Ragnarok where Loki and Thor are trying to find their father who is on Earth somewhere. and they seek out the help of Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. Stephen has absolutely no time for Loki and just kind of blips him off someplace. And when Thor finally gets around to being like, oh, could I have my brother back? Doctor Strange brings Loki back from wherever, and Loki appears in the air, falls face first onto the carpet, stands up and yells in exasperation, I have been falling for 30 minutes! And it's just achingly funny. I mean, it's just the complete, how dare you do that to me, and how did you do that to me, in Loki's voice is, oh my gosh, my sides were hurting. It was so funny. So that's my Rosie for one-liner of the year.
Okay. Next up, most pleasant surprise and biggest disappointment.
Okay.
Most pleasant surprise.
Yeah. My choice, the Rosie for most pleasant surprise in a film, was In Search of Israeli Cuisine. A documentary about the food scene in Israel, which I know just made some people go, what?
What food scene in Israel?
Guess what? There's a food scene in Israel that goes beyond lox and bagels. It's a really... Well, that's what people think of when they think of Israeli cuisine. I know, that's the kind
of stereotype thing that they think of, yeah.
Yeah. And seeing this movie opened my eyes up to what's going on in the food world in Israel. And I was like, wow, this was really amazing. It was beautifully shot and made me hungry as hell. It's just a great film that everybody should check out because it shows that, for all the things that people think of about Israel, politics and division and, war and blah, blah. The fact that they're it all boils down at the end to we're people. And if we can bond over a plate of food, maybe we can, if everybody picked up a fork instead of picking up a gun, maybe stuff would be better.
We were quite intrigued by a number of the dishes they were making, too.
And I know that I'm like this earthy, hippie, crunchy granola Woodstock person, but I really do believe that. If people were like, hey, you like this, I like this, let's sit down and talk instead of, shooting each other, maybe things would be a little better, but what do I know? But my most pleasant surprise of the year, In Search for Israeli Cuisine.
My most pleasant surprise is one of those movies where Kevin and I have this wonderful way of reading each other. She's got movies that she's intensely interested, that mildly interest me, or I'm not interested in, and vice versa.
And that works the other way around,
And
too.
Sometimes we're both completely wrong about the trailers, as she found out with the Hunger Games and a few other things over the years. And me too. I just had no interest really in this film, but I knew she wanted to see it, and we went to see it. And I have to say, I don't think I've laughed that hard at a movie in years. It was absolutely wonderful. My most pleasant surprise at the box office this year, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, starring the voices of Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch in the roles of I forgot
George and Harold.
George and Harold. This movie is it got my first A+ of the year, and it was absolutely one of the funniest films I've ever seen. It has a very Animaniacs vibe about it. The way it complete. There is no fourth wall in this film, and
they see Ford that sucker, yeah.
And they've gone beyond fourth into fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth walls. If you've not seen it, it's out on DVD, and you should rent it or stream it. It's hilarious. My most pleasant surprise, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
Okay, now this is the one that I don't like giving this award. I don't. Biggest disappointment of the year, film-wise. I don't like doing this because there's a lot of effort that goes into films most of the time.
Yeah, there is. But you got to be a critic, and you got to look at it. And
this film was my idea, and I will be the first to admit I am a big enough person, both ways.
Oh, yeah.
To admit when I'm wrong. And boy, was I wrong about this. The Rosie for biggest disappointment of the year goes to Logan Lucky.
This is one of those movies that I had no vibe about at all that she wanted to see, and I was right.
I wanted to see Daniel Craig do comedy. I'm sorry.
I did too, and Adam Driver's in it. I love Adam Driver, But you're right. It was a very big disappointment.
You know, I don't know what I thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get a really funny.
Everybody thought it was. They were. Well, see, the problem is the reviewers. Again, here we are with the critics. Oh, hey, finally, a movie the Trump supporters will love.
Yeah. It's a movie for those people.
Yeah.
You know, you can almost picture them sipping their Merlot
and I'm like,
looking down
really?
their noses. And
why couldn't this be a film for everybody if you got a funny bone, you know?
I kind of thought it was going to be like a rural-themed heist film, you know, a caper film, and
that's what it was. It just wasn't very funny.
I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, except for one scene that's really sweet. And I knew going into this, I was like, I'm going to have such a hard time with this, trying to get you to like it, because the star is Channing Tatum. And
I went because I love Adam Driver.
Mm-hmm.
I went strictly because of Adam Driver, and I was impressed with him. He was great. He and Daniel Craig were both great at what they were given to do. The problem was there was too much hype, and it wasn't nearly the funny that the critics said it was.
Yeah, so that's my biggest disappointment of the year. Sorry, Logan Lucky. What about you?
Mine is one that's just too funny, according to the critics, that thought it was just brilliant. You loved it. But damn it, I don't want funny superheroes. It just irritates me. My biggest disappointment of the year is Thor Ragnarok. I was not happy with this film. I didn't like the new haircut, number one.
Well, I
didn't like the fact that he lost his eye, number two. And I don't like superheroes played for laughs. Superheroes are not played for laughs in the comic books. Why can't they get that through their heads when they're doing the movies? I don't mind an aside, a quip. Flash hit the perfect note in Justice League. They gave Ezra just the right amount of comedy. But he also had a lot of insecurities. He had a lot of drama in it, too. It wasn't overplayed. Thor's always been a little loose. And this one just rubbed me the wrong way from beginning to end. I realized director Taika Waititi, I'm sorry, sir, I can't pronounce your last name, is one of the most creative people on the planet. He's a brilliant writer and a brilliant director. But, you know, it works with movies like Hunt for the Wilder People and Boy, which I've never seen the first one. I still want to see Boy.
And What We Do in the Shadows and stuff.
And What We Do in the Shadows. I just don't think it worked with Thor.
Okay.
And I know I'm alone in that practically. My most disappointing film of the year, Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. The most infuriating or heartbreaking moment of the year.
Oh boy. Okay.
Big spoilers coming for her, I have a feeling.
I don't have an infuriating one. I have a heartbreaking one. And the problem is, there were
Should I play the fanfare in the background?
How about you take a nice big tall cool drink of Shut Up?
Well, no, I'm just offering to help.
No, it's okay.
Okay, all right.
Well, my problem was that this year there were way too many movies I cried at. There were way too many movies that by the end it's a good thing that I don't wear makeup, because
it's a good thing we also think to always grab a huge pile of napkins.
It's a really good thing I don't wear makeup, because A, why bother? And you know, nothing's going to fix this. And, you know, B, if I wore makeup, I would look like, you know, Tammy Faye, God rest her soul, by the end of every movie this year.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
3 of them in a row, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And then this last one, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I am not a pretty crier. The most heartbreaking moment for me for the entire year was at the end of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. During the incredible lightsaber battle between Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren, about halfway through the battle, something in my head went, oh no. Because I have like this little part of my brain that can be objective and look at things and, you know, be detached and be unemotional.
And then there's Star Wars.
And then there's the rest of my brain who's watching the movie. This little part in my brain went, oh no. And the rest of my brain went, what's wrong? And the other part of my brain went, that's not Luke. That's a projection. He's using the Force to astrally project himself in a solid form to fight Kylo from the other side of the effing galaxy. This is not going to end well. And it didn't.
No.
At the end of the battle, Luke disappears and becomes one with the Force. And I literally felt my heart go snap right in half.
Her future husband had disappeared
And
on
the
her.
inner child inside me collapsed onto her knees and hugged herself and cried. And I went home and locked myself in the bathroom and cried for about an hour. So yeah, I'm well balanced.
Wasn't that bad?
I was in there for about an hour.
No,
Well,
about a half hour maybe.
Okay. So that was my most heartbreaking moment, was Luke and the incredibly brave sacrifice that he made to help the rebels at the end of The Last Jedi.
I went a different direction. I also went heartbreaking, but I went a different direction.
Okay.
Again, returning to the disaster artist. There's a moment at the end of the film where The Room is premiering in the Los Angeles theater. All the actors that are there. It's filled up to the brim with friends and family. And the movie starts unspooling on the screen, and people don't know what to make of this film. And then they start to laugh. Tommy and Dave are in the front row. Tommy, of course, the writer and star and director, and Dave, his best friend, and his... Greg, sorry. Dave Franco played him. Greg, his best friend and fellow actor in the movie. Sitting next to him, Tommy gets up and walks out quietly. And Greg follows him. And we realize that this man has put all this time into his project. And then the people are laughing at it.
Yeah.
And you can see the anguish in his eyes. You can hear it in his voice. And I never, ever thought I would feel sorry for someone like Tommy Wiseau, who's brought millions of hours of laughter and joy to bad film fans because of this film. And Greg says to him, it's making them happy. It's not what you intended, but they like what's happening. Mm-hmm. And he kind of brightens a little bit and realizes, he gets back up on stage after it's over to rapturous applause from the audience and, claims that he always had this in mind from the very beginning. It's really kind of sad, but it's also uplifting at the end. And I have never, if you've listened to our show for any length of time, James Franco makes me insane because sometimes I really like him, other times I can't stand him. And Tommy, his portrayal of Tommy is so incredible. You feel like you're standing there watching Tommy and Greg. Mm-hmm. And you feel all this, heartbreak and sorrow, and watch him get back and realize, I might not be so bad. When he realizes that people think it's so bad, it's good. Tommy realizes is a laughingstock from the disaster artist. My most heartbreaking moment.
It is.
Of
It's
the
a
year.
very sad moment because you realize this is someone that went out there. And
again, if you haven't seen it yet, please go see it.
They want to be taken seriously, but everybody views them as a clown. Now you have two choices in that situation. You can either curl up and die, or you can go out there and be a clown.
And Tommy thankfully chose the latter.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I could actually say thankfully. He's still out there doing weird stuff.
Yeah, but
this is just the thought I brought up a year ago. We all must realize that Tommy Wiseau will be in the audience at the Academy Awards this year. Mm-hmm. Is that not the most terrifying thing you've ever thought of?
Personally, I think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Best scene stealers.
Best scene stealers. I have one for live action and animated.
I only have one for overall, and it's kind of both.
Oh, okay.
Because it's from a live action movie, but the character's animated, so, all right.
Okay. Ow. My Rosie for best scene stealer for a live action film, the Rosie goes to Ezra Miller as Barry Allen / The Flash in Justice League. Because he is just the most adorable superhero ever. I've never been an enormous Flash fan. It's not that I disliked the character. I was just like, oh, hey, it's the Flash, neat. You know, don't glare at me. It was just, you know, I never disliked him. Like I said, I was just kind of
She never got interested until her kitten became the Flash on TV.
No, actually, the first time I got interested in the Flash was in the Justice League cartoon, because I was like, holy crap, this guy's funny. You know, Flash was like...
See, that's the Wally West version, and again, I don't like that.
The Flash was like the wise ass and like, you know, like the flip guy, and I liked that. I was like, hey, he's funny. And then the CW came along with Grant Gustin, and then we get the Justice League movie with Ezra Miller. Now, Ezra Miller is one of my favorite actors ever in the entire world.
It's scary that Ezra is 25 and we're all ready to sit there and go, we're not worthy.
Yes.
We're not worthy.
Yes.
Because he is just awesome.
His take on Barry as... I don't want to use the word twitchy, because you say twitchy, people think someone's a tweaker or something like that, and I don't want to do that. Barry's just... He's... I don't want... He's basically watching the rest of the world go by in slow motion, and it's not everybody else's fault, and he realizes that, but he's just like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, and I just think there's something very cute, don't kill me, but cute about that. And I just think that's his character is...
He's not always like that. There's a scene where he's quite terrified. It's like, I don't go into battle. I just push people and then run away.
And I'm like, oh, come here. Let me hold you to my chest. It's okay. You know, it's like that kind of a thing. I'm friendly. What can I say?
No kidding. Anyway.
I think I just got insulted. But moving on. Every scene he was in, he just picked it up and walked off with it very fast. So he gets my live-action Scene Stealer Award. My animated Scene Stealer Award, there's absolutely nobody else was going to get this. Come on. The Rosie for Best Scene Stealer in an animated role goes to Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Excuse me.
You're mean.
I'm not mean.
It's a little cute little baby tree,
right,
and you're being a jerk.
I'm not being a jerk.
Well, I just...
Porg, the other white meat.
You know, when the people from PETA start sending you angry email, I'm not going to be the slightest bit...
Hey,
like,
if Sheila can have it, I can have it.
Yeah, but he didn't get to have it, did he?
Well, yeah.
Anyway, Groot, as... The thing I loved about Baby Groot was the fact that even though he was this little tiny walking, talking tree, which was just so adorable, he could still kick a ridiculous amount of butt, which I thought
Is he really talking? No, he only says 3 words. I don't know if that's actually qualified as talking. Because all he can say is, I am Groot. That's all he can say.
That's a sentence.
Yeah, but that's not talking. Yeah.
How is Mama talking? When a baby says Mama, they lose...
When Rocket's explaining what to do with the bomb.
I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. No!
Right. But that's what I'm saying. He says the same thing over and over again.
But it's...
He's the best part of this film, without question. Him and Rocket are the best part of this film.
I just want to pick him up and squeeze him, which is probably...
if you made a Rocket and Groot movie, I'd probably like it way better than any of the Guardians movies.
If they made a Rocket and Groot movie, you couldn't get me out of the theater. I would be there every friggin' day. I just want to pick him up and squeeze him, which is probably not a good thing because it
scares me that they're going to show up in the Avengers.
I have been told that my hug compares to an anaconda. He gets my award.
Insert Nicki Minaj joke here.
Not that anaconda. Best Scene Stealer Animated, the Rosie goes to Baby Groot because he's just adorable.
I only did one because I think it's truly a scene stealer because you really can't see the scene. This sounds really weird, but I don't know. I don't know why Rian Johnson chose to do this, but it was really, really annoying and interesting and funny all at the same time. My best scene stealer of 2017 is Maz Kanata, played by Lupita Nyong'o, in about a 45-second cameo in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. They are consulting with Finn and Rose, and that's before they hook up with Poe, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Are consulting with Maz via video screen, and she's fighting something. She's busy. And we keep seeing her turn and start stabbing at something. And she's trying to give them the information on how to get what they want done, which is breaking a code to get into so they can screw things up. It's really funny because the scene keeps shifting and you're only getting quick little glimpses of what she's doing on this video screen. And it goes, and the scene is, I think, one of the best scenes in the film because of the way it's done. It's just, whoa, what is happening here? I wish they'd used Maz more. I like that character, even if they did steal the name of it from
I was going to say, you'd be sitting there singing through the whole movie. You did that all through The Force Awakens, and I'm going, shut up.
I did not. I did it afterward. Well, at least we don't have another new character named Low and Slow.
No, in Force Awakens, they've introduced Maz, and you start laughing, and everybody else is looking at you like, what the hell is this?
I'm sorry, it was funny. Maz Kanata was a big hit for Brazil 66, Sergio Mendes in 1967 and 68. And it was like, anyway,
one inside joke, and you get it,
It's just like I got the reference to Ding and Dong by T-Chen and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Nobody else got it.
That's true.
And the teacher's up there talking about how his stepfather knew every single Eurovision winner from whatever, and he brought up the song The Winner in 1975, and I'm sitting there snickering because I know what it is. Nobody else in the whole place got it except me. I was laughing my head off. Anyway, my best scene stealer, Maz Kanata, played by the wonderful, motion captured wonderful Lupita Nyong'o from Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Fight scenes time.
Yes.
Best battle scene.
Best battle scene. The thing is, this was tough. This was really tough. There were a lot of battle scenes,
but I had one that I just thought stood out.
Okay. My best battle scene, the Rosie goes to the final battle, the heroes versus Hela and her minions on the bridge in Thor Ragnarok, when they're trying to rescue the inhabitants of Asgard and get them away from Hela and her undead warriors and all that. And it's a great fight. You've got Thor, you've got the Hulk, you've got Valkyrie, who has stepped back into who she really is supposed to be. And a surprise turn from the bad side to the good side during the battle. I won't say who. And Hela and all of her minions.
Surprise? Well, that's no surprise.
Well,
honestly.
And it was great. And anything where you get to use is it the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin? Yeah.
I think
that was awesome. The whole thing with Thor calling down the lightning and all that. Oh, God, that was sexy.
It's in the commercial. The song is in the commercial.
So my best battle scene, the heroes versus Hela, the final battle in Thor Ragnarok.
I wasn't terribly enamored with any of the real battle scenes from any of the superhero movies. Justice League was too confusing. Thor, there was a lot of different stuff, although that one was good. Power Rangers, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. My best battle scene is a little bit more esoteric, not so many people involved.
Okay.
But it's worth it, and please be again, spoiler alerts for all of our awards. Best battle scene, Kylo Ren and Rey versus the Knights of...
we think they're the Knights
of Ren in Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
The battle in Snoke's throne room.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that almost,
was that awesome.
Yeah, that almost made my battle scene too.
It was number one, I'm still of the opinion that by the third film, Kylo Ren will have redeemed himself. I like that character. I like Adam Driver. That movie... The first movie made me an enormous fan of Adam Driver, and I'm going to continue to like him.
I like Adam Driver, too. I still think Kylo Ren's a whiny emo bitch.
Kylo can be, but there's reasoning behind it. And this one, where he was communicating through the Force with Rey, back and forth through the whole movie, was fascinating. I love the fact that, that, like they said, there's this whole purpose of the one scene where he's shirtless, is to show that he's burying everything to her. And I think that's interesting. But this fight, the two of them kick ass. We think it's the Knights of Ren. We haven't really said, but these are probably the people that he's been loyal to, that have been loyal to him, that he left Luke for.
Yeah, that he left the Jedi Temple with.
It was interesting and really awesome. My best battle scene, Kylo Ren and Rey versus the Knights of Ren from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, I went a different direction with my one-on-one, but go ahead first.
Okay. My Rosie for best one-on-one fight scene, there was absolutely nothing that was going to be... There was nothing else, in my opinion. The fight on Crate between... I think it's Crate? I'm not sure how you say it. Between Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, the lightsaber battle, where first Kylo tries to have Luke destroyed by them blasting at him when he's standing outside the door of the gates, and he has them blast him with everything, and the dust clears, and Luke's still standing there and just does this whole kind of brush away and looks up at them and you can tell he's looking right at Kylo with this look that says, "Is that all? Is that all you've got, boy?" And when the actual lightsaber battle takes place, it's like, oh my God, this is so, I won't use the word, fudging awesome.
Yeah.
So the Rosie from best one-on-one fight scene, Luke Skywalker versus Kylo Ren, the lightsaber battle from Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
I went a completely different direction this year because I felt that it was needed.
Okie dokie.
It needed some recognition, and it was really something. A few years ago, we saw this film called Killer Joe. Won a ton of our awards back in 2012 or 13.
I will never be able to look at a drumstick
You've
the same
watched
way,
it several times since then.
And
the PG version.
Yeah. No.
Which cuts some of it out.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because I've seen it. It's been PG-13. They cut some of it out, not the NC-7. No, R. I mean R.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't cut it down to a PG. Cut it down from an NC-17 to an R.
Yeah.
And it's a good film. There's a scene near the end of the film where Matthew McConaughey is just beating the living crap out of Emile Hirsch with a pumpkin pie filling can. That is what kind of popped into my head.
That kind of intensity.
When we saw 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, and the unbelievable beatdown that Officer Jason Dixon gives to real estate guy Red Welby in the middle of this film after the sheriff has passed away. Sheriff Willoughby has passed away. Actually, he's killed himself, and he's now without everything. He goes over there because Red is handling the billboards and is renting them to the lady that's got them up. And he beats the crap out of Red, breaks his nose, throws him out a second floor window, rolls off the awning onto the street, then he comes down and kicks him a couple more times.
Can I also bring up, before he leaves the office, he attacks...
He attacks the receptionist,
He attacks
too.
the female receptionist, punches her in the face, and knocks her out.
Holy cow. We were like, holy shit, we were watching it.
I don't know if I'd call that a fight scene, because he didn't get a chance to put up much of a fight.
It's a beatdown scene. And I said that right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of a beatdown scene.
Yeah.
But man, it was one-on-one. Sam Rockwell kicking Caleb Landry Jones's ass from here to eternity from 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And you actually got an active defenstration in a movie that wasn't like a spy movie or a superhero movie. Defenstration, the act of throwing someone or something out a window.
Yep.
Thank you, Spectacular Spider-Man. I still remember that from all those years back.
Okay.
Okay.
Best animated or CGI sequence in a film.
Okay. This was difficult because a lot of the films we saw this year did have a lot of CGI. But I was leaning toward Baby Groot, but I was like,
that's not a single sequence. This is supposed to be a single scene or a single sequence of CGI in a non-CGI film.
Yeah, I know. So
that would be cheating.
This is a CGI character, but I had to give it to this simply because when you see him for the first time, it is one of those holy cheese whiz moments. You know, it's completely like, your breath literally gets pulled out of your body. Kong from Kong Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what they did CGI-wise to create this giant gorilla, and it's just unbelievable. You know, it's just completely insane. The first time we see Kong, fully see him standing there, and you realize the immense size of this animal and the scope and the realism that you feel. I mean, your brain knows this is a CGI. This is not a real gorilla. But your eyes are going, holy crap, that is one big ape. So that gets my Rosie for best CGI.
My best CGI sequence in a live-action film, not surprisingly, comes from Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Uh-huh.
This movie is thoroughly, with Sylvester and me coming out, thoroughly CGI. But there's one sequence which is just amazing. It's after Valerian and Laureline have received their mission, and he's dreaming, or he's en route to the mission. He's dreaming, and something enters his dream. It's a dream of this planet side, humanoids fishing pearls out of a beautiful seascape. And then it's suddenly invaded by giant wreckage of ships falling from the sky into their oceans and setting off these catastrophic tsunamis. This scene is freaking amazing. It's really amazing in 4D because you get to feel this whole sensation.
Oh, I'm sure it's terrifying in 4D.
This entire sequence these humanoids look real. Everything about this world feels real. And it's every bit 100% CGI. And it is amazing. And it suddenly snaps away when Valerian wakes up and he's talking about his dream. From Valerian in the City of 1,000 Planets, the scene of the humanoids on the world fishing for pearls.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Love that. Alrighty, team up time.
Mm-hmm.
Our best actor or participant team, narrative or documentary. These are the actors playing the characters.
Yes. For me, the best actor team would definitely, well, it's an actor-actress team, would absolutely have to go to Gal Gadot and Chris Pine for Wonder Woman. They bring so much to their characters, and it's really interesting to watch Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor at the beginning of their relationship. Which this
is all they have in this version.
Which is all they have. Another movie where I sobbed my heart out at the end. But they just had this wonderful chemistry. And there was just so much. I mean, besides the fact that physically, they're both incredibly beautiful people. I'm sorry, Chris, you're beautiful. Just live with it.
I think he'll be okay with that.
You look at them together and you just go, these people need to be together. And that's it. You know, I get accused of shipping all the time, but you definitely can ship. Shut up.
I hate that term.
You can definitely see why Diana and Steve should be together because they're a physically beautiful couple. But emotionally, they fit. Which is really weird because he's from a society where women are, treated not as well as men. And she's from a society where there are no men. And he learns that women can be strong and beautiful and powerful and brave. And she learns that, about men from him. And he's the best example of what a man can be because he's a good person. He has a good heart. And I think they made an amazing team together. So, my best actor or best acting team, I guess you could put it, would be Gal Gadot and Chris Pine from Wonder Woman.
I went a completely different direction with mine.
Well, no, that's cool.
My best actor or participant team are a voiceover team.
Okay.
Which I normally wouldn't do. I would normally give this to live action actors. But the chemistry between Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch from Captain Underpants is so amazing. They are so funny together. As George and, what's the other one?
Harold.
They're a riot, and they're playing off each other. They recorded it together, and you can tell they did. It's so funny, and they actually sound like kids.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think of them as adults doing kids' voices. You think of them as, what, 4th graders, probably?
Yeah, they're like 4th graders.
And it's really, really amazing. The work they did was fantastic, and I loved every second of it. My best actor or participant team, narrative or documentary, goes to Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch for Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
Okay.
Best character team.
Okay.
These are characters on screen that are the best team.
Oh, yay, irony. My Rosie for best character team goes to George Beard and Harold Hutchins from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Voiced by Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch, respectively. George and Harold are just fun kids. They're pranksters. They're doing what kids are supposed to do at that age.
Yeah.
They're having fun. They're enjoying life. I mean, personally, it's my own personal philosophy that life is all about finding fun and beauty and enjoyment in every day, whether you're 6 or 60.
Yeah.
You know, but I think George and Harold are... The thing I like about them the best is that they're best friends. And they complement each other so well, even though they're too young to really understand what that term would mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think. But they're both really smart kids, so maybe they would understand. Just the fact that they're fun and they're imaginative. The fact that they're such imaginative boys, and they've used that to create their own comic book, where one does the dialogue and one does the drawings.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? That is so awesome. I'm like, I would have hung out with these kids if I was a kid. You know?
Yeah, I would
I
too.
would have hung out with these kids now. Except that would look weird.
I imagine Professor Poopy Pants thought that too.
Yeah, I know. But they're fun kids and they're enjoying life. And that exuberance, it made me smile. I walked out of that movie sandblasting, couldn't get the smile off my face.
We both did.
So, my best character team goes to Harold Hutchins and George Bear from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
My best character team are a pair of real-life people that were being played by other actors, and it just worked perfectly.
How meta.
My best character team, and so is the movie, Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, played by James Franco and Dave Franco in the wonderful comic take on this, The Disaster Artist. Mm-hmm. The movie is based on Greg Sestero's book. It's weird because Dave Franco is kind of short, and Greg is way taller than him.
I'm not trying to be mean.
It's the first time the two brothers have worked together. So
I'm not trying to be nasty about this. Dave Franco, who is a terrific actor, Dave Franco looks nothing like Greg Sestero.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't really.
Nothing.
But he did pull it off. He pulled it off. He pulled it off.
Mm.
And he and Tommy and Greg are just inseparable. They're still close friends. They've done another movie together, which really frightens me.
Uh-huh.
And they've done a few other things together too. And Tommy approved of his book, and it's the book, if you've never read it, is a riot. And you can see most of it in this movie, but there's a lot of it that didn't get included, that was behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
And it's something. Character team, best character team, Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, played by James and Dave Franco in The Disaster Artist.
Okay.
Most fun at a movie.
Did we do best ensemble cast, or is that...
That'll come up later.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm literally flipping through my notebook here.
Yeah, no, because that's when I gave it to you. I forgot to give it to you.
Most fun at a movie?
Yep.
Okay. Most fun at a movie. Now, obviously, you can't have fun at every movie. I mean, let's face it. Nobody walked into Schindler's List thinking this was going to be a laugh riot. But, you know.
When we say most fun movie, it's just a vibe and you're just enjoying it and it's great. Yeah. Whether you got friends or just you or whatever.
It's not a movie where you're going to be thinking about your carbon footprint, blah, blah, blah.
Well, neither one of these are, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most fun at a movie, the Rosie goes to Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. The first trailer, I was like, we have got to see this. this is gonna be great. And guess what? It was. Because it's funny and silly and gross, but, well, a little gross.
It's a little gross, yeah,
There's a few jokes.
yeah.
There's a few jokes, and I was like, oh, that's male. But it's got a really great message. Now, I know some people would be like, oh, crap, not a message movie, Kim, really? But the message is imagination is a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. And God knows we need that message.
Yeah, we do.
So, most fun I had in a movie this year, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
My most fun in the movie went to the movie that, there's two of them I got to choose from. And I had a really gut-wrenching time choosing, but ultimately, my most fun at a movie this year, The Disaster Artist. We went with a full crowd of fanatics, and it was brilliant. The movie was great, the audience was great, everybody thought it was hysterical, and it was just amazing. My most fun at the movie this year, The Disaster Artist.
Okay.
Best popcorn film.
Okay.
These are not your indies. These are the kinds you go to strictly to have fun, to be there, to enjoy the popcorn, enjoy the ambiance, and just there for vegging.
Yeah. Or just there to be going, like I was, for my best popcorn movie. Because there are some times when I sit there with this smile on my face that probably does frighten people that don't know me.
Yeah.
For me, the best popcorn movie...
Woman, look at that smile. She's going to kill someone.
For me, the best popcorn movie of 2017, the Rosie Goes to Kong, Skull Island. I was just sitting there going, monsters, 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 carnage, destruction. More. I had such a great time at that movie. I was not disappointed. I was sitting there going, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. This movie is amazing. So, my popcorn movie of 2017, Kong, Skull Island.
Popcorn movies are meant to be silly. They can be fluffy. They can be they just sit there watching the trailers, grabbing eating your popcorn when you eat it, because I don't like movie popcorn much anymore, because they use coconut oil and it kind of upsets my stomach. And I much prefer candy or whatever, or pretzels.
Or pretzel bites.
And they'll sit there and I'll enjoy it, and I know I can sit there, enjoy my food, and enjoy the movie. And my best popcorn movie this year, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Okay. Enjoyed the hell out of that. Woo. All right. Time for music awards.
Yes.
There's a lot of music awards. And because there's so many different types of music used in films these days.
And music's so important to a film, picture a movie like Batman. You can't picture that movie without the Danny Elfman soundtrack. It just wouldn't work as well.
Well, you can, but then you get Batman reading Dr. Seuss.
Don't do that. That and the Sun, if you want to know what we're talking about.
Or is that on Bat and Sun, or is that on his private?
No, that's on their YouTube, but don't blame us if you get scarred.
They run a show called Superpower Beat Down, which is really, really fun. Best musical performance within a film. Uh-huh. This is a song performed inside the storyline of the movie on screen.
Right. Best musical performance within a film, the Rosie goes to Un Poco Loco, which is sung by Gael Garcia Bernal and Anthony Gonzalez in Coco.
Yep, mine too.
Oh, awesome. This part takes place in the Mexican afterlife, where this young boy has accidentally wound up, and he's not dead, so that's awkward. And he winds up... Well, what else would you call it? But his whole thing is that he wants to sing. And they have this big talent show that's going on in the land of the dead, because what else have you got to do? And he gets up there and sings, because that's his passion, is singing. And he's singing with this other gentleman.
The whole point of Coco is that he wants to be a musician, and Miguel wants to be a musician. His family is dead set against it because his great-great-grandfather left his family for a music career.
Yeah.
And so he's had this big fight after getting discovered, and has ended up, after stealing his or the man he thinks is his great-great-grandfather's guitar to play in the talent show, he ends up on the other side of the dead zone.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't take Spanish in school, un poco loco means a crazy chicken. And, because why not? And
you remembered some Spanish.
I did.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Normally I'll ask her, what does that mean? I don't know.
High school.
You had 5 years of Spanish.
Junior high, high school, college. I can tell you where the library is, and that's about it.
And pencils.
And pencils.
Where to find a pencil.
Yeah. But it's such a fun song. It's just great. It's just, you sit there and you listen to it and you're like, I want to dance. This is fun.
Yep.
So my best musical performance within a film, the Rosie and the Poppy, go to Un Poco Loco from Coco.
Yeah, I loved this.
It's not easy to say, but I managed to do it.
It's a great song,
myself.
great performance from Anthony Gonzalez and Gail Garcia Bernal, who I didn't know could sing.
No,
and so
I
that
actually
was fun.
finally forgive you for The Loneliest Planet. So that's nice.
That wasn't his fault.
He was in it, so
no, he was in it, but that was because it was work.
And he's
done a lot of great stuff.
And
since
his character was I won't use that word either.
Rhymes with tick.
No, anyway. It rhymes with wussy, but I won't use it.
Pussy? Wow.
I'm trying to be classy.
Anyway, they sang Don Gatto in that film. Anyway.
Yes, all 90 minutes of it. Song is...
That's the best part of that movie.
Song is about the length of your average fish song.
Loneliest Planet 2011, unless you want to be really, don't watch it as a date movie, but the scenery is beautiful. It won my Best Cinematography Award that year. But,
worst date movie since Fatal Attraction.
Best pop soundtrack. This is a soundtrack filled with new or current or recent pop songs and not a score.
Yes.
Okay.
I had to give that the Rosie Goes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There was some great stuff on there. I'm sorry. I thought about giving it to Thor Ragnarok, but apparently I'm wrong. So
no, it's your choice.
So what's yours?
The best pop soundtrack, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Great new songs from Weird Al Yankovic, Andy Grammer. Terrific re-recordings of Adam Lambert and a bunch of other people, plus the cast of the movie, doing a song here or there, and a few score tracks as well. It was absolutely terrific.
Okay. Well. All right. That takes us to best use of a previously released song in a film.
Actually, it doesn't. I have one in between, which you don't do, and that is the best original score track. Okay. This is the best individual track from a score.
That's what I get for trying to move the show along. Well, anyway, I know. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
Best original score track is one track from a score that I just think stands out above all others. And I do this every year. She doesn't really do it because she has, problems picking things like that. Yeah. Because she's likes everything.
I do.
My best original score track, one track from a film's score that stands out heads and shoulders above all others this year is the title track opening from Ketty from Kira Fontana. Okay. This beautiful piano music and a bunch of sounds in the background, and it opens the movie, and it you get a look at Istanbul. Ketty, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about in the next few minutes, is just something you've never experienced until you've seen it. So my best original score track, Ketty from Ketty by Kira Fontana. Now you can go forward.
Okay, sorry. Now I gotta turn the page on my notebook. The best use of a previously released song in a film, original or new recording, because that's not.
This is a pop song that's used somewhere in a film.
I've actually mentioned this already.
I think we tied on this too.
My Rosie Goes to Space Oddity.
We did, yeah.
By David Bowie from Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Unbelievable use of that song.
Yeah, it is such a beautiful version of that song, and it's part of the reason I started bawling. Was because I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And
I've never been a huge fan of that song, but it is...
No, but it fits so perfectly.
It does. It fits perfectly.
It was such a perfect fit. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, this is so perfect. Oh, this is so amazing. Oh, he's not here. And that cued the waterworks. And, and that and thinking, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And look at all this brotherhood and peace. And we're going to be long dead if this ever actually happens. And that made me cry even harder.
Depressing thoughts she has here.
I get maudlin sometimes. I can't help it.
Sometimes? She just flipped me off. Anyway.
And that brings us to Best Original Score.
Yep.
I have a feeling we're going to tie on this too.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. My Best Original Score, the Rosie goes to Michael Giacchino for Coco. And
well, what'd you like about it?
No, I just loved it. I thought it just had this. It was beautiful. It was moving. It was sad. It had parts that made you feel like somebody was grabbing you by the arm and pulling you into this big communal dance.
Yeah.
You know, and it just felt so wonderful. And there were some parts that were so intimate and personal, and just, you know, held you close, kind of a deal.
Right.
So that's where I'm coming from with that. And it's Michael Giacchino.
It's a great choice.
Which,
I'm a sucker for Michael Giacchino's
It was
work.
awesome. So.
10 years ago, I discovered Michael's work in Speed Racer, and I've found so much of his scores over the years. But this year, it's a runner-up.
Wow.
I adore the score from Ketty, from Kira Fontana. This is one of the, again, people, Ketty did not qualify for Oscar score because it's a lot of noise, a lot of sound effects, and it mixed in with music. It's a lot like Michael Brooks' score for The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I also gave a Poppy to about 5 years ago. It's, tinkly piano with very unusual, and I love Ketty too. It moves forward the story, and you feel this music around you. It's the music of Istanbul and the cats therein, and it makes it wonderful.
The music of where?
Huh?
The music of where?
Istanbul.
Not Constantinople?
Walked right into that one.
Yep.
My best musical score this year. Kira Fontana for Ketty.
And if you remember that song, you're old. Congratulations.
Which we are.
Yes.
Best original song. Oh, God, this was hard.
Best original. Really?
Yeah.
I had no problem. I was like...
I had 3 songs I adored, and I'm like, oh, my God, which one am I going to pick?
No, I had to pick this one. I just had to because, A, I adore him. B, it fit perfectly, and C, it's been stuck in my head since the movie came out, and I can't get rid of it, and I don't really want to. The Rosie for Best Original Song goes to Weird Al Yankovic for Captain Underpants theme from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. It is vintage Weird Al Yankovic. It is absolutely silly. It's an original song. It's not a parody of...
No, Al does original stuff when he does movie stuff, and it's good. Yeah.
And it is achingly funny. And I love it. I think it's just, I'll catch myself singing it, Oh, that's Captain Underpants. I probably shouldn't sing that really loud. But, and I love that song. It's just hilariously funny. And it puts me in a good mood. If I'm feeling down, I'll actually cue that up on my Spotify, and it cheers me up. So my best original song, Captain Underpants theme by Weird Al Yankovic from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
I had two other ones besides my winner that were just so close. One of them was the incredible To Be Human from Wonder Woman by Sia, and I've forgotten the name of the gentleman that does it with her, which was fantastic. And the second one was Remember Me from Coco, which I loved. I loved every song from Coco. It was like, this is just awesome. But this one, right film, wrong song.
I think I know what it is.
A Friend Like You from Andy Grammer from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. This song is so sweet, and it's perfect. It talks about George and Harold's friendship and how much they love each other as bros, and it's adorable.
It is. It's so cute.
I wanted to get Oscar nominated so bad. It's such a great song.
And we love Andy Grammer anyway.
I love Andy Grammer. Yeah. He's terrific. My best original song, A Friend Like You from Captain Underpants by Andy Grammer.
Okay.
Andy Grammer.
All
right. We're finally reaching the top and getting into the acting awards now.
Yes.
And now, Best Ensemble.
Okay. Best Ensemble Cast, you're going to get pissed at me. I don't care. Best Ensemble Cast, the Rosie goes to Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, okay.
Haha.
No, that's
the
cast is fine. I thought you were going to say Guardians of the Galaxy.
No. I loved the way Thor Ragnarok brought together so many different people. I love the fact that we got more Hulk where it's not just Hulk yelling and roaring and stuff. We actually had Hulk as a character.
Bork smash.
Yeah. That's kind of a private joke, but oh God!
Unless you're a wrestling fan, in which case you should get it anyway.
Oh God, I hope he doesn't hear this. He could kill both of us. I love the chemistry between Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. I think that you could really picture those guys as being brothers because the way they bicker.
Oh, they've
and
always
fight,
been great together. Yeah,
and
they have great chemistry.
I loved everything about all of the characters, and the way everybody came together. I loved it. I thought it was great. So my best ensemble cast, the Rosie goes to Thor Ragnarok.
I could only pick one here, and because it's just so outstanding. You've got your main leads. You've got a whole group of main stars, big stars that are doing smaller roles, and a couple of eye-popping cameos. My best ensemble goes to the Disaster Artist. James Franco, Dave Franco, up front.
Can you tell he liked this movie?
Will you stop shining your light in my eyes, please?
Sorry.
That's great performances there, but you've also got Josh Hutcherson, Jackie Weaver, Ari Grainer, Sharon Stone, Melanie Griffith, Bryan Cranston, Zac Efron, all these people doing these smaller roles. And it is a riot to see them all there. And it's a great film. And a great cast. The Disaster Artist.
Okay.
Best ensemble cast.
That's great. And
breakthrough performances, male and female.
Yeah, okay. Breakthrough performance, male. I hope you don't get mad at me, but I decided to go a different direction. So, there. My breakthrough performance, male, goes to Anthony Gonzalez as
that's fine.
Miguel Rivera for Coco. I don't know if they drew Miguel to look like Anthony. I've seen pictures of Anthony since, and I'm kind
his hair is different, but he does look quite similar.
Yeah, I see there's a resemblance there. So I was like, oh, that counts. I'm doing it. I don't care.
That's fine.
Miguel is a young boy that wants to follow his heart, and his family's telling him no, but nobody's really going into why. I mean, he knows the backstory, but I love the way that he grows as a character. Excuse me. I love the way he grows as a character in Coco, and the scene at the end with him and the titular Coco had me...
If you're not bawling by the end of that scene, you are a Vulcan.
Or you're dead. I think that scene at the end would make a Vulcan be like, there's something in my eye. It's not logical, but there's something in my eye. And part of that is because of his vocal performance. It was so amazing.
Voiceover performance.
Yeah.
You always do that. Voiceover performance.
His voiceover performance was really fantastic. So the Rosie goes to Anthony Gonzalez for his work as Miguel Rivera in Coco. Congratulations to Anthony. My breakthrough performance, female, there was nobody else. I mean, there were a few people.
I think we probably tied on this one, so...
There was one other person that came really close, but at the end of the day, I was like, no, I gotta go over here. For breakthrough performance female, the Rosie goes to Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tico for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I love Rose. I fell in love with the character 5 seconds after she made it on screen. I was like, I like her. I'm going to follow her around. She's awesome. Because she's not a warrior, and she knows she's not a warrior, but she's going to try her 110%, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that she's just this really strong character. And I can't wait to see where she goes as a character in the Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. And she pisses off all of the neckbeards, so that makes me happy.
Oh,
you know?
Ow!
Anybody who can piss off the sexist pigs out there that have decided that Star Wars is a boys only club.
Right.
So my breakthrough performance, female. Congratulations to Kelly Marie Tran for her work in Star Wars Episode 8. The Last Jedi.
My breakthrough performance, male, goes to the young man that we put on our Rising Stars list this year. He is a really terrific actor and martial artist. Ludi Lin, who plays Zack the Black Ranger in the reboot of Power Rangers. He is I can't tell how old he is because he's been around for a while. He's been out of college and he's been a martial arts expert and actor for a long time. But he looks young enough to play a teenager or an early 20-something at least. And it was really...
You found him believable and powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was really fun. And I really, he was always getting them into trouble because he was so impulsive, which is not how Zach was in the original movie, in the original show.
No.
But he really made it work here. And I think he's going to be a major star one day. And like you, my female breakthrough, Kelly Marie Tran from Star Wars The Last Jedi. Just amazing. Rose is a great character, a great addition to the universe, and I think she's going to be a lot of fun to see grow as we get into the final movie, whatever the title will be, of this trilogy, and possibly into Rian Johnson's next trilogy, which he's already developing with Disney. Mm-hmm. Best premium or roadshow attraction?
Okay, this one, there really wasn't much of a... I really was like, there's no other way to go with this because it's what it is, and it's a classic, and it's one of our favorite movies.
And it's mine, too.
Oh, neat.
Yep.
Excuse me. The Rosie for Best Premiere or Roadshow Attraction goes to Casablanca, the 75th anniversary event, which we got to see at our local showcase cinemas in Revere.
Yep, for a change, we usually have to go to the Brattle or the Coolidge to see it.
Yeah. Casablanca is... I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's our movie or that's my movie, and we're in that club too.
Yeah, we are.
It's one of our movies.
It's an awesome film.
And
it's just really well made. It's a lot of fun, and it's a classic.
It's a beautiful story. It's a story of love and war and redemption and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's another movie I wind up a sobbing mess at the end of.
Even though she knows she can't change the end.
I know, and it's really not it's not a movie you should see when you're hormonal. I found that out.
No, definitely not a good idea.
No, because we're sitting out
She's crying even in stuff that there shouldn't be any crying in.
Well, no, never mind at the end of the movie, and then we're sitting out in the lobby, and I know little kids that'd be like, "Mommy, what's wrong with that lady?" Because I'm just sitting there.
Stop.
I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out over the end of the movie.
Usually, she stops before we leave the theater.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful experience. It's a really great experience to have with a crowd, especially for that one scene. I love that one scene.
And it's a great experience when they get it right. They had to rewind the entire film because we didn't get a picture for the first 4 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, because it's on DVD, it's from Turner Classic Movies, Ben Mankiewicz hosting it, but it was still a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. You had some great trivia afterwards, and it's really a fun movie to see with a crowd.
Yeah.
And it is one of our movies.
It is.
That's great.
I'm amazed that we didn't pick riff tracks.
Well, Bogey or Mike and the Guys, it's not really much of a choice.
Yeah,
there,
true.
Really.
Best cameo and best limited performance.
Okay. We should just explain what those are for people.
Cameo is a cameo, usually less than 30 seconds or maybe less than a minute. Best limited performance is something we introduced a couple years ago. It's too long to be a cameo, too short to be supporting.
Right.
It's
cameos
like one or
basically,
2 scenes.
Yeah, cameos basically, hey, wasn't that so-and-so? But a limited performance is when you're like, oh, wow, they got such a...
They have a part in it, but it's not nearly as long as to be a supporting actor.
Yeah.
Or actress.
My best cameo, the Rosie, goes to David Hasselhoff in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's one of the scenes where Ego, the living planet, is trying to convince Peter to stay with him and join with him and, unite powers and stuff. And Ego can change into anyone, and at one point he changes into David Hasselhoff, who was a big part of Peter Quill's life as a young boy. And the interesting thing is it's David Hasselhoff in the Michael Knight outfit from Knight Rider, the leather jacket, the red shirt, the jeans. The David Hasselhoff I wanted to sleep with. So that was uncomfortable. But, so that was my best cameo. Because apparently David doesn't mind taking the piss out of himself.
I thought that he was kidnapped from Earth before Knight Rider even started.
I know.
So that was why I couldn't give it to that.
I know.
My best cameos in this case.
Word up.
Goes to Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero for The Disaster Artist. Tommy has a great scene at the end of the film.
Tommy has a cameo. I would consider Greg's a limited thing, but that's just...
Greg didn't have any lines, only 2 lines.
Oh.
So it's right there with what's her name from Happy Endings. I can't think of her name.
Yeah, her.
But Tommy has actually a scene with James at the end of the movie after the credits.
Yep.
And it's funny. It's really funny. So my best cameo, and Greg plays one of the people working with the casting director for a movie Tommy's auditioning for.
Yeah.
That's funny as hell. Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero in The Disaster Artist.
Okay. Best limited performance, the Rosie, this is a little different. The Rosie goes to Frank Oz, who was puppeting Yoda in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. We have a scene, it's not a terribly long scene, but it's a very touching scene, between Yoda, who was returned as a Force ghost, and is speaking to Luke. And it took me a second. I was like, something's different. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a puppet. It took me a second to realize, oh wait, that's not
CGI again.
CGI. They're using an actual puppet. This is awesome. So I was for me, that was like, oh gosh, this is great. This just made this movie that much better. So my best limited performance, Rosie winner, is Frank Oz puppeting and voicing Yoda in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
My best limited performance, because they're not long enough to be a supporting and they're not short enough to be cameos, I actually have a tie, and it's for two people in the same film. Oh. Jackie Weaver, who plays Carolyn Minot, the woman who plays Claudette in The Room, and Josh Hutcherson, who plays Philip Haldeman, who played Denny in The Room. Both of them in The Disaster Artist. Mm-hmm. They're both consummate actors, and they're funny, they do whatever they do, and they do it well. Jackie can be terrifying. See Animal Kingdom. She's also funny as hell. See Blunt Talk. Mm-hmm. Here, she's great as the elder statesman of the cast of The Room, who can't figure out why this thing with breast cancer has only been brought up that one time. Oh, it's a twist. And Josh Hutcherson as Denny, or Philip Haldeman, who played Denny, who was, except for Tommy, the oldest member of the cast at 26, playing 16.
It's kind of hilarious.
Freaking hilarious.
I think it's more hilarious the scene watching. I
didn't think he was that old. Josh's character says he's 26. I thought Philip was 23 when they did the movie.
I'm not sure.
I might be wrong.
The scene with between Chris R. and Denny, which in the film is Chris R. is Zac Efron. Is Zac Efron, who is threatening Denny. And I'm sitting there going, you realize every Hunger Games fan in the world that's a great fight. Hunger Games fans versus High School Musical fans. That'd be a bloodbath.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, Jackie Weaver and
Josh
Hutcherson, my favorite best limited performances this year.
Okay.
Best voiceover performances, male and female.
Okay. My best voiceover performance, male. There were a lot of people to choose from for this, I thought. But I had to go with this one simply because he's playing two parts, and they're such different characters, and you could tell he's having the time of his life. Best vocal performance, male, the Rosie goes to Ed Helms.
Voiceover performance.
Voiceover.
You always say vocal performance.
Best voiceover performance, male, the Rosie goes to Ed Helms as Mr. Benjamin Krupp / Captain Underpants from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. A perpetually grumpy principal who winds up being hypnotized by two of his students into thinking he's the superhero from their comic books, which he becomes anytime somebody snaps their fingers. It's hysterical. It is so funny. And it's so different because Mr. Krupp is such a grouch and Captain Underpants is so obliviously cheery. And it's great. It's just fantastic. So he gets my best voiceover performance award for a male.
My best voiceover performance, male. We saw a few things, but it just couldn't be topped. Anthony Gonzalez as Miguel in Coco. He brings such life to this character. He's 12 or 13. He brings wonderful life to this character who's so passionate about wanting to be a musician and refuses even to leave the land of the dead as long as his great-great-grandmother makes him promise to give up music if he goes back. He won't do it. And it's interesting to see that. Fascinating performance. Brilliant. I think we're going to see him. He's also a regular actor. We see him in regular shows too, but he's got a future in voiceovers. Anthony Gonzalez from Coco.
Okay. My best voiceover performance for a female, she doesn't have a lot to say, but it was so beautiful and moving, and it broke my heart in half. The Rosie goes to Anna Ophelia Murguia. I hope I was even close with that.
I think that's right on the nose.
As Mama Solero or Sacero, I'm not sure which it is, Coco Rivera from Coco. She is the elderly lady. She is the focus of Coco. She is the daughter of the character who has passed away, and the problem is in the world of in the land of the dead, if people on the living side forget about you, you fade away into nothingness. And because she's a very elderly lady, she's forgetting her father. And when we see her at the beginning of the film, she's very old, and you can definitely tell that, unfortunately, she's suffering from, memory loss. And I don't know if you go as far as to say dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, but she's just an elderly person. And she doesn't recognize members of her family. And that hurt. And when you get to the end of the film and she starts singing along with her grandson, and she speaks a little bit, and it's not a lot of lines, but it just, I was just a sobbing mess because it felt real. Yep. It brought me back to my grandma, and it made me think of that warm. Her voice is so warm and so kind. I think her voice makes. I don't care where you're from. If you're from Alaska or Zimbabwe or anywhere in between, her voice makes you think of your grandma. That warm, loving person that always loved you no matter what. So, congratulations to Anna Ophelia Murguia. Like I said, I hope that's close. Who gets the Rosie for Best Voiceover Performance Female.
I went slightly different direction, but same film. My Best Voiceover Performance Female goes to Alana Olbach, who plays Mama Imelda Riviera, Miguel's late great-great-grandmother, and the wife of is that right? Yeah. Coco's mother, who is that strict disciplinarian about music, even in the afterlife. Yeah. And she and Miguel have a number of run-ins.
Mexican abuelas can be terrifying. Yeah. And I mean that in the nicest possible way to any abuelas out there, but they rule the roost, and what they say goes. That's it. She was just, as we reached the pinnacle and she realized what had happened in the real world and things had changed, and suddenly forgiveness and change were coming to her and the way she thought. It was beautiful, and I love her performance. Alana Olbach as Mama Imelda from Coco. Okay.
Excuse me, and now we are really into the big home stretch.
Yep.
Best Supporting Actress.
Best Supporting Actress, and there were a lot of people to choose from here.
There was, yeah.
But I give her Best Supporting Actress, but I do have a bit of a complaint. But it's not about her. It's not directed at her. I wish they'd given her more to do. That's where I'm coming from. The Rosie for Best Supporting Actress goes to Lucy Davis as Etta Candy in Wonder Woman. Etta is Steve Trevor's secretary, and she is a traditional lady of her time, which means that she completely doesn't understand Diana, who is this warrior woman, and has a completely different set of values and has a completely different set of being like, I'm not letting any man tell me what to do.
And a different set of everything.
And Etta being like, ooh, I like her. That when she's basically like, the whole idea of a secretary sounds like a slave. And Etta's like, ooh, I like her.
Mm-hmm.
I love that character anyway.
Yeah, I do too.
If she's handled right, she's great. And I think the way Lucy Davis handled her was just spot on perfect. So that's why she gets my Rosie. I wish we'd seen, obviously by the time we got to the present, Etta would have probably long been passed away. Mm-hmm. But I wish we'd seen something of what had happened to her after the war and stuff like that. But that's just because I like closure. So.
My best supporting actress, I'm kind of floored that you didn't pick the same one I did. But
okay.
Because you can't consider her a lead. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a lead role. And it is a role that is unforgettable that she's been playing for 40 years. And it's just like something that you can't get away from, and it is not going to happen anytime in the near future.
I didn't trust myself to do this and not cry. So.
My best supporting actress goes to Carrie Fisher as Leia Organa in Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is Carrie's final film performance. We lost her a year ago last week, and it is just a terrific job. It came close. It was between her and Laura Dern, who I also loved in that film. But Carrie is the heart and soul of the Star Wars saga. As Leia, she has been in the forefront of the fighting since her teenage years. Yeah. And now, as she approaches somewhere near 60, if not over 60, she is still fighting the good fight, trying to maintain a good living a way of living for the people who don't believe in these dictatorships that have come along. Carrie is magnificent here, particularly when she's with Oscar Isaac, and it is really, really spectacular. And you left on a good roll, dear. Yeah. Carrie Fisher, Star Wars, The Last Jedi, my best supporting actress.
Okay. Best supporting actor is next, and I know some people might be like, what? For this one, but I don't care. I don't feel like giving him actor would be right, because while he's really important to the film, he's not the lead actor, I don't think. Mm-hmm. But I had to give it to him simply because his acting in this film was amazing. My best supporting actor the Rosie goes to Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
I would definitely agree with your assessment, even though he gets first billing. He's still a supporting character.
Yeah, I know. The fact that Luke has gone to this planet, as he says, to die, because he feels like he failed as a Jedi Master. He failed in teaching these students to follow the light side of the Force, and Kylo Ren, Ben Solo became Kylo Ren and corrupted and went to the dark side, and he had a moment where he could have ended all of it by killing Kylo in his sleep, and even
that was his nephew. You couldn't do that.
Even then, he couldn't do it, even though he knew this kid was going to be dangerous. And he's regretted his choices, and his performance, it broke my heart. It broke my heart because it was so moving. And I can't say enough amazing things about him that he probably hasn't heard already.
Numerous times in the last 2 weeks, probably by thousands of fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's a very active tweeter.
And so my best supporting actor, the Rosie, goes to Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker from Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
There were a number of people that I had to consider here because I liked so many people over the course of the movies we did see. But in the end, it's the performance and the way it happened, and just the fact that I've loved him for years, that this really, not only do I think he's good enough for my award, I really have this feeling he's going to be looking at a supporting actor Oscar. We'll see. My winner for Best Supporting Actor, Sam Rockwell as Officer Jason Dixon in I cannot say that title tonight. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
He was up for mine too.
He is a loathsome, obnoxious, racist SOB from the very beginning, and yet after the death of the sheriff, that starts to change ever so much.
Yeah.
Because of the letter the sheriff left him. And it's pretty amazing.
It is.
And there's a transformation you don't expect, and it really... Sam is one of my favorite actors. He's a brilliant character actor who has been in so many things over the years. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time I've really felt that I could give him this. Martin McDonagh, who does this film, he starred in all three of these films. He wasn't in Bruges, but he was in Seven Psychopaths, which I hated. So it was like, okay, I know, whatever. But he's brilliant here, and I had to give it to him. Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, my best supporting actor.
Okay. Gosh, we're up to Best Actor and Best Actress. This is going to be nuts. Best Actress, there were quite a few people that I was thinking of for this, and I really thought about, I was thinking about giving it to Carrie Fisher, but I was like, I can't. I can't, simply because although she was amazing, the performance that did win my Rosie was so different for the kind of character. The fact that this actress took this character and went in a direction that I don't think other actresses would have, and even if they went in that way, I don't think they would have been able to pull it off. Mm-hmm. My Rosie for Best Actress goes to Frances McDormand as Mildred Hayes in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
My Poppy for Best Actress goes to Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay, wow.
What a performance.
Yeah. Mildred is a woman dealing with a failed marriage, and the fact that her children... her relationship with her children's not great. That was before her daughter was raped and murdered. Since then, she's been trying to get justice for her daughter in a way that manages to piss off the entire town and alienate her son from her even worse. The thing is, Mildred is in a terrible situation, and as a film goer and as a person, you want to grieve for her. Mm-hmm. But that would be like hugging...
But she's such a douchebag.
That would be like hugging a cactus. She's not a pleasant person.
No, she's not.
And you can't... The movie shows that you can't be like, oh, well, grief has driven her insane, the poor woman. She was like that before her daughter died.
Yeah. That's probably why she's even worse, actually, because we see the scene that triggered this whole thing, so it's interesting.
The one scene that made me go, she's winning my Rosie this year, is the scene with her and the deer. That one scene is so mind-blowing. It kicks you in all the feels. Every feel you have, it kicks you in. So my Rosie for Best Actress goes to Frances McDormand for her performance as Mildred Hayes in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Frances has always been one of my favorite actresses, but she doesn't always land in movies I care for. Mm-hmm. Mainly because she's married to, is it Joel or Ethan? She's married to Joel Coen. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big Coen Brothers fan, although she's become a star because of his films. Mm-hmm. I first saw her years ago on Legwork with Margaret Cullen, and she also was in Darkman with Liam Neeson.
Yep.
But I loved her in various parts over the years, and here she just picks up the part and walks out the door with this grieving, angry mother who is just... I mean, she'll give you a pistol whipping without a pistol. She's just... Oh my God.
She'll make you wish for a pistol whipping with a pistol.
And oh my God, she's brilliant, and it's funny as hell and sad. It is a dark comedy if you're not aware of that. And it's
dark, but it's not pitch black.
No, there are some really
you will walk into the furniture
moments.
Though,
and it is her performance is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Frances McDormand.
I have a feeling we might tie on Best Actor, too.
Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Sorry.
Okay, Best Actor.
Yes, Best Actor. Oh boy. It's a very difficult thing to be an actor. I can say that because I've been one. Well, an actress anyway. I've been men in parts, so that's, I don't know if that
You're a female actor.
I don't know if that makes me an actor or not, because I've played men. So that's
You're a female actor, like the Screen Actors Guild can always insist on doing.
F that. That's stupid.
Feminine, masculine. They can't get past that. Okay, anyway.
But being an actor, taking on another person, that's not easy. Taking on two other people, I've never done that. And the fact that this guy was able to take on two other people and do it in such a fantastic way, considering the fact that one of the people he's playing is completely... no, I can't say insane. That's not nice. Is marching to their own marching band. Screw marching to their own drummer. The Rosie for Best Actor goes to James Franco as Tommy Wiseau and also as Johnny in The Disaster Artist.
Oh, okay. I couldn't figure out where you were going with two different roles. I'm like, what?
You figure James Franco is playing Tommy Wiseau, and then in the film The Disaster Artist, he's playing Tommy Wiseau, playing Johnny in the room. It's like, this is getting so meta, I think my head's going to explode. And James Franco is supernaturally good at absorbing being Tommy Wiseau. I mean, if I thought the guy was a shapeshifter, I'd call Sam and Dean Winchester. It's that disturbing how much he becomes Tommy Wiseau and how much he makes you care about Tommy. I mean, I've watched The Room several times. I have had The Room inflicted on me several times.
The Room is an awesome film. It's so funny.
You don't experience The Room, you survive it.
Oh, I
and
don't
I
agree.
have never.
I'm sorry, I don't agree.
I know it's so bad, it's hilarious. But I have never sat there and thought, man, the guy who made this movie must have been so hurt when people laughed their heads off. And James made me care.
Yeah.
He made me care. And that is an incredibly difficult thing to do as an actor. You can make people laugh. That's not easy either. You can make people cry. That's difficult. You can scare the piss out of people. That's fun. But,
yes, it is, actually.
Making people care. That's hard.
Yeah.
That is crazy, stupid hard. And that's why James Franco gets my Rosie for Best Actor, because he did it.
There are a lot of good performances this year, and I mean, what we saw of them, there were a ton of great lead performances. But yeah, almost from the second we walked in, before we even walked in, we'd seen the trailers. My Best Actor, 2017, James Franco, The Disaster Artist.
Had a feeling.
What a wonderful performance. I'd like to accept my Oscar for playing Tommy Wiseau.
If that happens...
hi, Mark.
If that happens, I'm going to have the biggest nose cola moment in the history of ever.
Well, he's already won one from the Gothams. He's up for Golden Globe. He's likely to win, at least be nominated for an Oscar. He's brilliant. He channels Tommy.
Yeah.
It's scary. And you're right. He makes you care.
Yeah.
The scene in the restaurant where Tommy gets a dressing down from Judd Apatow is heartbreaking. And I don't particularly care for Judd Apatow. I think he's an ass. But it's like, and I don't think his comedy's funny either.
Yeah, but even though you know what he's doing, you're going, oh my gosh, dude, really? Seriously? Don't do that, you know?
And it's just, this movie is so brilliant and such a great film, and it's because Franco was also the director, and it was a terrific, terrific performance. James Franco as Tommy Wiseau in The Disaster Artist, my Best Actor.
Woohoo.
For Best Cinematography, Narrative, and Documentary.
Yes. Now, a lot of people probably see the word cinematography on a screen when you're watching a film. And if you're like me, for the longest time, I was like, what the hell does that mean? You know, I mean, you see all these things on the screen, key grip, craft services, all that stuff. And for the most part, you never think about what that is, what somebody does.
Right.
Cinematography is basically the person who sets up the shots. You know, they decide this is going to go here, this is going to go there. And that's the look of the film. Mm-hmm. That's the cinematographer's job.
Right.
That's nuts.
It is.
That is a nutty job. That is completely insane. And the idea that you have to be a cinematographer for the real world, quote, quote, whatever that is, that's even crazier. For the best cinematography for a documentary, the Rosie actually goes to 2 people who worked on one film.
Yeah.
Because sharing is caring. Mm-hmm. My Rosie goes to Daniel Meher, I don't know, I'm sorry, Daniel, and Andrew Becker for Santawala. Santawala is a documentary that we caught that
just
is,
recently,
that is hypnotically compelling. It really is this amazing story, which proves that Sartre was so right when he came up with the phrase, hell is other people. Mm-hmm. There are so many shots of the European mountains in this, because it takes place in a village in Europe that is literally falling apart. Most of the people in the village, most of the families have left. And there are 2 houses left that are habitable, however it's livable.
There's several that are close to habitable.
It's a hard word.
Habitable, but they would need some fixing up first.
Yeah. And there was one family living there for the longest time, and they were the kings of their castle. And then another family moved in, and somehow that caused problems. And the way this film is shot, and the way that the mountains and the countryside are set up, and the way they're filmed, are so beautiful. And you don't look at this stuff and think, oh, how could this be menacing? It can. It can be really menacing when you realize when you're way out in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody else around, that means there's nobody there to help you when stuff goes wrong.
Yep.
So my Rosie for Best Cinematography documentary goes to Daniel Meher and Andrew Becker for Santawala.
Mine goes to also a pair of people. Mm-hmm. Alp Korfali and Charlie Wupperman for Ketty. I have never, in my wildest dreams, had wanted to visit Istanbul until we saw Ketty. I always think, being a Westerner, I'm thinking, backward, not really, And you look at this and you realize that not only is it a modern city, it's a very modern city, and yet there are parts of it that are still old. And as one of the oldest cities ever in the world right now, it has a unique vibe everywhere you go. And the point of view, shot both from the humans and the cats of Istanbul, is just amazing. So my documentary, Best Cinematography, Alp Korfali and Charlie Wupperman for Ketty.
Okay. Best Cinematography Narrative. This was hard because there were a lot of films this year that I was like, there were so many films that had scenes that just made you go, wow. But this film, there were so many scenes that just completely, I was literally sitting there with my mouth hung open like, how did they do this? The Best Cinematography Narrative, the Rosie goes to Thierry Arbogast. I know I messed that up. I'm so sorry. For Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was so much about this film. Now, I know that this film didn't get the best rating from me, but visually, holy crap, is this film gorgeous. I wish I cared about the characters as much as I cared about the background, but that's just me. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous film, and Thierry did an amazing job of making this feel real. I mean, it's a science fiction film, and there's aliens and all kinds of things that we don't know if they exist now or not. I like to think they do. But, there's so much otherworldliness, but it's still felt grounded in reality. And that's the cinematographer's job. So congratulations to Thierry Arbogast. Oh, I hope I'm even close. For giving you the Rosie for Best Cinematography Narrative for your work on Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
That's really good. I also considered that, but I also considered that there was a lot of CGI in that, and that's harder for... They share it more with special effects artists, too, and it's hard. So don't mind the apparent Spawn doing basketball with a bowling ball, if you can hear it in the background. Sorry about that. We have no control over that. And now it stopped, of course. That's good. It stopped before we got to the top. My best cinematography narrative goes to Larry Fong for Kong Skull Island. This movie visually is gorgeous to look at. And it's set in, of course, Skull Island, which is where they're headed for. The island itself comes alive with every kind of turning. You're looking and you're seeing different wind movements and trees and how everything looks perfect and how the people fit into it without Kong even coming into the picture.
Yeah.
It is stunningly beautiful. And I just love the way it looks. So my best cinematography narrative goes to Larry Fong for Kong Skull Island.
I have to admit, that surprised me. Now, directors. Oh, boy. The guy in the chair. Or the person in the chair.
The man in the chair.
Well, not always a man.
The movie was called Man in the Chair.
Well, I realize that. But Best Director Documentary. Why don't you go first?
No.
Okay.
I always go last.
Okay. Best Director Documentary.
I like the last word.
I know. Best Director Documentary. This was tough because we saw some really cool documentaries this year. But in the end of things, I had to follow my heart. My heart said follow your stomach. And so my best director for documentary went to Roger Sherman for The Search for Israeli Cuisine.
Whoa, okay.
I told you this movie really influenced me. You know, this movie really made me look at what I thought Israel was, being, you know, a Westerner that's only seen Israel for the most part in, you know, on the news and what I remember from CCD class, you know, and this movie made me look at what I thought I knew and say, okay, wait, no, that's not right, you know, and being like, wow, this is different and it's new and it's making me look at the ideas and notions that I had and say, throw all that out and see what's really going on. And that's important. That's what a documentary should do, is make you look at an idea that you came in with, and when you leave, you have a completely new idea. That's what I think a documentary should be for anyway. So my best director for a documentary, the Rosie, goes to Roger Sherman for The Search for Israeli Cuisine.
Wow, okay. My best director documentary is a first-time documentary maker and a first-time director. And what she came up with was magical. And I just cannot stop thinking about it. I can't. We need to sit and watch it again because it's just beautiful. My best director documentary, Seda Torin for Ketty. The story of the cats of Istanbul and just... I wish we'd gotten a chance to meet her. She was at the Salem Film Fest 2 years ago when Ketty premiered up there. We didn't see it then either. And it was during the later part of the week after we'd left. And I mean, this is an amazing film. And she did an amazing job, and it's her first time. She's up for a ton. She's been up for a ton of awards. Didn't win many, but it's a shame. But I think she was great, and so I've given her my best director documentary, Seda Torin, Ketty.
Okay, and that brings us ever closer. So now we are at best director for a narrative. Best director for a narrative, the Rosie for me goes to Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman.
Good choice.
Because it was awesome. It was everything. It was everything a Wonder Woman movie should be. It was Wonder Woman at her best. It was... And I know a lot of people are like, oh, another origin story, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry. I thought
well, we hadn't seen it before, so that helped.
No, but the whole idea of another superhero origin story, I know some people were bitching about that, but I thought that Patty was just the perfect director for this film. I thought the way she shot it was just amazing. It showed that a woman can be strong and beautiful and capable and intelligent and caring and sympathetic, and you don't have to sacrifice any of that stuff to kick a lot of ass. So my best director of a narrative for 2017, the Rosie goes to Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman.
That's a good choice. You almost thought we were doing Front Row 5 and 10.
I did.
My best director
I'm just
of
talking
narrative.
so much, I'm starting to lose oxygen.
My best director of narrative. We're almost there.
I know.
You could tell this movie was a labor of love for him, and it had been taking him 2 or 3 decades to get where he wanted to get with this, and finally be able to produce it. Critics were not kind, but I'm sorry, I think they're all wrong. I found it to be an amazing film, and amazing performances, amazing look, everything worked, and that is why my best director narrative goes to Luc Besson for Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. What an amazing film to see. The special effects and the acting and everything came together to make a really honest-to-goodness space opera film that you could really have fun at. I don't quite understand why there was so much backlash, but there was a lot of critical backlash on Jupiter Ascending a few years ago, and we have friends that love that film.
Yeah.
I don't think I would, because Channing Tatum was the star, but, I mean, we do. I mean, it looks bad, but everybody loved it, and that's how I feel. I think Valerian got the shaft. I'm glad it did well enough worldwide that they are beginning pre-production on the sequel, and I can't wait for that either. My best director, Luc Besson, Valerian, and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Okay. Best animated film. Oof,
Best animated film.
Yeah. This was tough. This was really tough.
It was. This was gut-wrenchingly tough.
Because I was like, do I want to go for what had me rolling on the floor laughing my head off? Or do I want to go for what played at my heartstrings?
Yeah, that was for the 2 choices. These were just rippingly bad choices.
Yeah. So I was like, gotta go with my heart. The Rosie for Best Animated Film goes to Coco. A beautiful story of a young man trying to follow his heart and follow the music that's in his heart, which his family is determined to stamp out. It's a fantastic story. It's exposing people to another culture. I learned a lot of stuff about the Mexican culture that I knew a little about, but there were things that I was like, wow, I didn't know about that, and oh, wow, that's different, and I didn't know about that, and oh, that's so cool, and that's a fire-breathing monkey. Holy crap, I want one of those. It's a beautiful story. It's funny in some places. It's touching in other places, and there are just some places where it just, I don't care if you are like a linebacker for the Patriots. If this movie doesn't make you bawl, there's something wrong with you, and I don't want to hang out with you. So my best animated film of the year, sorry, Captain Underpants, it goes, the Rosie goes to Coco.
This was so difficult.
Oh, it was awful.
Because they were both great, and there were a few other things
brutal.
out there too, and it boils down to what will stick with you here in the gut for the rest of your life. And I didn't think anything would knock WALL-E out of my list as my favorite animated film of all time until I saw this. My best animated film is Coco. I loved that film.
Wow.
And it's Pixar's best ever. Even more so than WALL-E. I loved WALL-E. I love Inside Out too. And Ratatouille. But I was just entranced with this. It's a beautiful story. It tells a really great story that helps Caucasian people understand the Mexican culture.
Yeah.
Which most people don't get. And that culture is beautiful in its heritage and richness and the way it's presented. And it just comes together in such a fluid, beautiful portrait and some of the most beautiful animation ever in the history of cinema. I mean, it just blew my mind. My best animated film Pixar's wonderful Coco.
Okay. Best film documentary. We didn't see as many documentaries this year.
No, I usually see a ton of them, and I
Yeah.
only saw like 7 or 8 of them, so it was hard.
But you knew when this documentary came along that A, I was going to see it no matter what, and B, unless something came out about, like Chocolate Bar the movie or something like that this was going to be my best documentary because cats.
Yeah.
My best film documentary, The Rosie Goes to Ketty. The story.
The Poppy goes to Ketty, too.
It's a surprise. The story of the cats of Istanbul, not Constantinople.
For Pete's sake.
Google it if you don't get it. It's looking at the cats of Turkey and the fact that a lot of people take care of these semi-wild cats.
Do they have stuffing with them?
Huh?
The cats of Turkey, do they have stuffing with them?
Ay.
That's what you said.
The country of Turkey.
Oh, that's very different. Meow.
Never mind. It's really an amazing story when you look at how old the country of Turkey is, and you look at how this, like you mentioned, I mean, we think of Turkey and we think of that part of the world, we think of, that everything's ancient and crumbling and all that stuff. There are parts of that city of Istanbul that, I mean, they're beautiful, they're new, it's bustling, and it's, but, and these
it's a
cats,
modern city with skyscrapers and everything else, which you don't normally think of.
Nope.
Westerners don't get that in their heads sometimes.
And cats rule. That's basically it. There's a reason that the phrase exists. Dogs have owners, cats have staff.
This movie is perfect proof of that.
Speaking as someone who has been owned by several cats through my life, I can tell you that is an extremely accurate statement because these cats walk around like, yep, we run this place. And they do. You can see cats during this film. They literally walk in and out of people's houses. They don't live there. They just are there.
And the owners treat them well.
And the owners are just like, oh, hey, cat. And the cats are like, oh, hey, human. And
some of them are more semi-permanent residents than others.
But when you see a cat walk up to a restaurant and hop up on a seat and tap on the window and somebody comes out and gives the cat food, and this happens every day.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like...
It's adorable.
What? It's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. It's the fact that cats, to me, cats are an extension. All animals are an extension of nature. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the cat, as an extension of nature, is basically being like, hoo-hoo, I'm still here, can't get rid of me. No matter how much you and your civilization, quote, quote, try, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And if maybe more people picked up a cat once in a while and gave it a hug, maybe people wouldn't be so people-y. And, just...
People-y, all right.
You look at people and you're like, yeah, that's
people!
We wouldn't find new and exciting ways to kill each other, which seems like the only thing we know how to do as a species.
It does, yeah.
So my best film documentary of the year, The Rosie Goes to Ketty.
The Poppy Goes to Ketty, too. This movie is so wonderful. Uplifting, friendly, buoyant, musically great, visually stunning. The cats are fun. Psychopath is especially fun to watch. That poor girl is just insane. And there are, you find the cats have family and they have, some of them have kittens and the people that love to take care of them. I've never wanted to visit Istanbul, and now I do. It's like what happened after we saw Passione. Now I want to go to Naples. It's just like, I really want to see this for myself, up close, personal.
I understand.
And
you're right.
it's awesome. There were a lot of good documentaries this year, including Santawala, Oklahoma City, The Bomb. But Ketty stands up high above everything else. Mm-hmm. My best documentary, Ketty.
Okay.
Last award. Yeah. Big award. Best Picture, Narrative.
Best Picture narrative. The Best Picture narrative is our way of saying this is the film that out of all the films we saw this year, this sums it all up.
In the narrative category.
In the narrative category. And the Rosie for Best Narrative, Best Film Narrative, goes to The Disaster Artist.
Wow. I'm surprised. Why?
The Disaster Artist...
I expected that to be Star Wars, The Last Jedi. That's amazing.
I know you did. And it almost was. But that story's not over.
Ah.
And the Disaster Artist story really isn't over either because Tommy and Greg are still making movies and such.
Ah!
Thank you for doing what I felt like doing but decided that would be rude. Thanks for going there. The Disaster Artist, based on the book by Greg Sestero, is the story of the making of The Room, what has been referred to as the Citizen Kane of bad movies. And they're not wrong. They are not wrong, my friends.
The only reason why they call it the Citizen Kane of bad movies is because Tommy has a Kane-like fit as Johnny at the end of the film.
Yeah. It is... The Disaster Artist is a story about dreams. It is a story of never giving up on your dreams. And the fact that your dream may not end the way you wanted it to, but if your dream ends with you making hundreds, eventually thousands, possibly by now millions of people happy, I think you've succeeded. You may not have succeeded in the way you wanted to succeed, but you brought people joy. And in the world we live in, where joy, unfortunately, is in such short supply.
She's just up in Peabody. What are you talking about?
Small joy.
Oh, sorry.
Small J, not capital J, my sister, you dimbo.
Okay.
Hi, Joy. That's important. That is really important. And the fact that this film says dreams are important. Mm-hmm. And following your dream is important. And never giving up on your dream is important. And that's beautiful. And that's a message people need to hear. Because the world out there is full of people that tell you you can't. You can't. You shouldn't. It's never been done. This film sticks up its middle finger and says, watch me. And that's a message that everybody needs to keep locked up in their heart.
Yep.
So, my Rosie for Best Film Narrative for 2017 goes to The Disaster Artist.
I am so totally stunned.
Every once in a while, I can surprise you.
Yes, you can. I mean, it's amazing because I can't think of the last time we saw a Star Wars film that you didn't pick Best Picture. But it's like, okay. My best narrative is a great film. We saw so many films this year that weren't quite up to snuff, and there were just a few that made it into that top echelon. Only 3 or 4 pluses and then A's and A minuses, and the rest of them were all lower. But it was harder than I thought to choose this. And ultimately, I had to go with my gut and say that the film that I think deserves it is one that will leave your mouths dropped open when you see it, because there is some stuff in this film that will blow your mind. There are some things that happen in this film that will go like, damn! I did not see that coming. And there are things in this film that make me think that maybe there is hope for this director who I couldn't stand the first 2 films by. My Best Picture narrative of 2017 is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And now she's shocked. A wonderful ensemble cast that includes...
Holy fork bunnies, I'm shocked.
That includes
wow.
Frances McDormand, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, Caleb Landry Jones, John Hawkes, Lucas Hedges, and a number of other actors, Peter Dinklage, in some really hard-hitting, gut-wrenching black comedy that will make you laugh for reasons that you can't accept laughing about.
You will laugh, you will be ashamed, and then you will laugh again.
Yeah, exactly. We saw it with a good-sized audience, and everybody was laughing, and they were like, oh, I wonder if I should be laughing. It was like a Bad Bernie and Phil's commercial.
We should bring up also real quick, Catherine Newton is the girl that plays the daughter in the flashback.
Yeah, and
a Supernatural alum.
Samara Weaving is the dippy boyfriend of her ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
This film is brilliant and just Frances McDormand just walks off with this film.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Rockwell's performance is terrific. In a stronger year and with a little bit more meat in the role, I would have considered Caleb Landry Jones for supporting too.
Yeah.
He was terrific. Everything about this is just awesome. And I was not terribly impressed with Martin McDonagh's previous films. I hated Seven Psychopaths. In Bruges grew on me after a while, but I didn't like it when we saw it.
No.
And
I loved it, but
I'm so amazed that this film turned out to be good. I was drawn in by Caleb's presence. I'm a huge fan of his, but the whole film just gels perfectly, and it just ekes out a win over The Disaster Artist by that much. My best picture of 2017, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Wow.
And that is the Poppies and Rosies for 2017.
Yeah. Gosh.
Lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
And there would have been even more if we'd seen even more films. So it would have been, I wish we could have had more to give to you, but we couldn't. I just quickly want to remind you that our Subject Cinema 2018 will start with a double feature weekend this coming weekend. We will have our Just 'Cause We Can Awards.
Yep.
And we will have our 2018 preview show with all the stuff that's expected to be out in the next 12 months. Plus, we'll have a lot of other stuff, and our usual weekly shows are in there with it as well. 3-Minute Weekend on Friday with the new releases. Not too many of them coming out this coming Friday. And more on video, actually, this week, Tuesday, Digidex on Tuesday. And I hope that you will check those out.
Yeah.
Plus, we have our other shows coming on in the next few weeks, including Comic Grotto with Anthony and Pee Wee, Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon at Cavebabble.com, Platinum Rose's Garden with Kim, which will be back in mid-January when Supernatural returns. Kim has a brand new show debuting later this month, on the 5th, we think, called Ring Around the Rosie, all about wrestling. Trust me, you're going to want to catch this. And Catastrophe Vortex will return a week from tomorrow, the 8th, with a new format and some great new stuff.
And we'll be bringing back Front Row 5 and 10.
Front Row 5 and 10 will be back this coming Thursday?
Yeah.
Not this week, but next week.
Next
or
week.
is it this week?
Actually, I think Ring Around the Rosie starts next week, too.
Yeah, it is. It's the 8th.
Yeah.
8th or 9th. And I'm not sure when. I think Front Row's back this week with our top 10 movie musicals.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great year. We're kicking off with that. And we will be making an announcement about a very special project with a trailer on our YouTube page only on January 11th, I think it is. And we'll have the whole thing for you later in the month. It's exciting. It's stupendous. It's the biggest thing we've ever done. And we hope everybody will like it.
We do.
On that note, we hope you had a great year. We hope you have a great year upcoming. And hopefully things will be great. So, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot in days of auld lang syne? For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
We'll see you in 2018.
Go to the movies!
Yay!
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.